The KayFabe Smark Podcast.
Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your Smart Mark source for news and opinions on the professional wrestling.
Hey, it is September 11th when you're listening to this. This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. This is episode 16. This is Brian. We got Eric, and we've got our special guest, Michael from AEW News 1 over on, I almost said Twitter, on Instagram. He might be on Twitter as well. We'll find out. But Eric, we'll kick it off with you first. What's going on in your world?
Oh, you know me, Brian. Same old, except one thing. I got me a Blackstone grill this week. So I've been clinging and clanging and making some Mongo-style dishes.
Did you make the choo-choo train onion?
No, not yet. I'm not that skilled yet. But
that's why I haven't heard from you. I sent you a text over the weekend. I didn't hear anything. He's just out there clanging and banging, chopping up onions and flipping shrimps into his neighbor's hat.
I'm telling you, they ain't paying me, but you need to get out and get a Blackstone. Them boys are fun to play with.
Michael, what's going on over in your world?
Pretty overwhelmed with all this programming. Watched All Out, Dynamite, and the two New Japan Road events, which were pretty brutal. Then speaking of food, I just cooked my first tomahawk steak last night.
Is that the one with the big, long, bone?
Yeah, it was unreal.
I just want one for the picture. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, exactly. The picture was worth it, but it was like 3 pounds of food, so I've been in a little bit of a food coma since then.
There you go. Well, let's kick off a little bit of news. Well, first things first, over on NXT, we're not going to touch too much on there, but Finn Balor is the new NXT champion. He beat out Adam Cole for that on Tuesday night, Super Tuesday, being rumored to still push that over to Tuesday night. And then last night, let me pull it up over here. Anyways, AEW had their biggest ratings poll with over 1 million viewers last night. So I got that going for them over there.
They haven't hit 1 million since their first week, have they?
That was about what I've been rumored to have been told on the internets, was that they've been pushing. I think it's the largest since one of their first weeks. You got any news on that, Michael, over there?
Yeah, so they hit 1 million the first, I think, 2 or 3 episodes, and then they've kind of been rocking back and forth. The closest that they've been was the Young Bucks Butcher and Blade segment, which drew in 1 million, but there wasn't 1 million total viewers on the Nielsen rating. So this is the largest draw-in since the airing of Dynamite in October. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anybody else got any news, anything going on in the world of wrestling before we just dive in and talk about the All Out pay-per-view 2020?
No, I haven't heard too much. Anything from you, Michael? Any news going on that you heard about?
Not too much, really. I think the G1 Super card, the G1 Climax card is being released tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you know what? I've been behind on my New Japan. I enjoy it, and then I fall out, and I fall in. And you know what the problem is with me with New Japan is the watching it. It is not convenient by any means to watch because there's no good app. There's one for Amazon, the Fire Stick.
Horrible.
And that is mediocre to give it the best rating on that app. And then other than that, you got to watch it on your computer, or that's about it. And then you got to I got to come all the way downstairs, use my computer. I got to Chromecast it upstairs. It gets annoying. But other than that,
exactly.
Enough bitching about first world problems that I can't watch wrestling from Japan conveniently. Well, the first match, we got some pre-show matches. As anybody know who's been listening to the KayFabe Smark podcast for the last 16 weeks, Eric and I are completely and absolutely miserable with pre-shows. But I know Michael over there at AEW News 1 has watched them all. First off on the pre-show, Joey Janela and with Sonny Kiss taking on, how did you say this one here? Serpentico and Luther. I don't know nothing about Serpentico with Luther, but what was this? What was this all about?
So Serpentico and Luther, I think they formed their tag team. Serpentico is a developmental talent, and Luther's a big deathmatch wrestler, one of the biggest legends. He wrestled for IWA Japan, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. So, he's kind of making his transition into more traditional wrestling. He's been teaming up with a luchador, basically, Serpentico, and obviously against Janela, who has had a lot of experience this summer in the indie circuit. He's been wrestling pretty much weekly with Game Changer Wrestling. So it was an interesting combination for them to go up against each other. I actually thought this was a pretty solid match to start off the whole buy-in process. I'm a big Joey fan for sure.
I like Joey. I'll have to go on and find this on YouTube. I'm sure it is floating on there somewhere. But so I can't give you all my opinions on it, but I'm going to go back and rewatch it. It was not in my time frame when I sat down to watch. It's always like when I find the replays and whatever, and then it wasn't convenient for me to watch it. But the second match they had in the pre-show, Private Party, poor Private Party in the pre-show, taking on the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Was this anything to go back and check out, or was it just a pre-show tag team match?
It might have been a little bit more than a pre-show tag team match because Silver and Reynolds, they started out as pretty unknown guys, but they really elevated themselves on BTE. I mean, they're the best bit every single week. This was their first kind of like pay-per-view experience. And Silver, I will say this, he has the strongest kicks in all of AEW. They're very similar to Kota Ibushi in New Japan. I mean, this guy like kicks your freaking head off. He's extremely talented. Reynolds is good too, but Private Party picked up the win. Good match, but Silver, I would really take a look at.
Yeah, I saw Silver on AEW Dynamite a couple weeks ago, and the commentators were all putting him over pretty hard. And it's so I actually kept an eye on him during that match, and it's great to see he's talented. He can work his ass off, but I'm kind of disappointed to see him mixed into the Dark Order, because you can just really get lost in the sauce being with all those schlubs,
And just getting a number slapped on you.
Right. I think, which number is he?
Is he 5?
4 or 5. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Point received. All right.
The downside of being in a cult.
Right. So before we dive into the main card, make sure you guys head on over to all of our social media here on the KayFabe Smark. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Join our Facebook group. Do all that fun stuff. Make sure you head on over to audibletrial.com/thekayfabesmark and get yourself a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial over there at Audible. I was listening to the Terry Funk book. That's included. You don't even have to buy that one. It counts as a free book in your 30-day free trial. So it is not read by Terry, which is maybe a good thing or maybe a bad thing. I don't know. It might be a lot of hard listening to Terry Funk read you a 10-hour book. But some funny road stories in there, some stories about his dad and his brother and things like that. So really cool book over there. audibletrial.com/thekayfabesmark. You get a free book. We get a little cheddar. Life is good. And now we will get in and tear apart and talk about All Out 2020. First match, opening the card, Big Swole taking on Britt Baker in the tooth and nail match over there in the dentist office.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable right now, Brian. We got the AEW guy on as a guest, and how can we start out with this fucking abomination?
Well,
remember when AEW was touting themselves as WWE or the alternative to WWE?
Yeah, and then
this match was just WWE light.
It was, but the only thing that I can give it for being, it wasn't too. I don't think it was any at all cinematic. It was just a match outside of the ring. So the best thing that it had going for it was not cinematic. It was not overly done. But I wouldn't say the cinematic feel. It didn't feel like a movie, like the Boneyard match.
Oh, absolutely. I can give it
the
that.
Swamp Yard, whatever, airboat match, whatever they did with Bray Wyatt a couple months ago. But that's the only things that I can give it there. So, well, Eric, we'll just start around the thing here, and we'll see what you have to say about it, and we'll see what everybody else has to say. Let you kind of start the lead.
Well, yeah, just right off the bat, it's just so cheeseball from the beginning, from Big Swole walking in the office and Reba putting on a fake accent and getting her ass beat all the way into the first dentist office where you got a cabinet full of chattering teeth toys. I, I I don't know. I just wanted to turn this off right from the beginning, but I stuck it through because I have a bad habit of skipping bad matches, and I really wanted to enjoy or suffer every minute of this pay-per-view.
So, as I already stated, the good part was it wasn't super cheesy, super cheesy for me. Or I'm not saying cheesy. Sorry, terrible word. Super overacted in the cinematic version of matches. The end was a little goofy, how they ended it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The indoors, outdoors, dumping in the trash can. It had a little more of a street fight vibe to it, which I could appreciate. But overall, I mean, I didn't get the greatest kick out of it. It wasn't like match of the night for me, but.
Right. What was your take on it, Michael?
So I did a full match ratings on my Instagram, and I actually noted at the bottom of it that I was not too happy about the way this match played out. I mean, first of all, we've had kind of this feud between Big Swole and Britt Baker kind of building for the better part of 2 months. My question was, why did they have to do it in the dentist's office? So, I mean, I dug a little bit more, and it might seem that Britt Baker hasn't been fully recovered from her injury, and maybe that's why they just didn't go all out in the ring. But I don't know. I felt like maybe it could have waited then. I mean, this was pretty bad. I don't think Meltzer will even rate it, so I didn't rate it. I mean, it wasn't really a full cinematic match, but I wouldn't really call it a wrestling match. I think like there was a really good opportunity to have a great feud settled, and it really wasn't settled at all. I don't know. Didn't show their potential.
Right. I'm going to agree with you on that one, that if they would have waited a month or so, if indeed Britt Baker is not fully healed yet and they actually did this in a wrestling ring, could have been 10 times better. But a couple notes that I got here, which did give it a cinematic feel, was when Britt Baker tried to extract that molar and getting hit with a tray. Obvious as hell with the sound effects they added in post-production. And then one thing I'm sure not too many people caught on, Jim Ross, this entire match, quiet as a fucking church mouse.
What was going on with him?
He wanted nothing to do with his match, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
He still has a little pride in his tank. He hasn't gone full Jericho yet, where he sells his soul, part of this company. And, yeah, I just think JR did not want to be a part of this.
Yeah, he's been pretty open in the past about not calling stupid shit, too many catch me dives and all that fun stuff. But the ending of this match was you had the extraction, then you had the drill, and then
banana on Reba's head.
Banana on Reba's head. The Novocaine that they put into Britt Baker's leg to make her leg numb, and then they didn't even really like sell it or use it long enough. So, and then the gas, and then the pin. And it was like.
I thought another interesting thing was I watched a little bit of Brian Zane on Wrestling with Regret on YouTube, and he did a full review, and he mentioned that it took a lot of guts to take a syringe to the leg, which I kind of agree with. And I was surprised he rated it like a 3 3/4 stars. He loved it. So, I mean, I'm a big AW mark, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I think he was a little high on laughing gas himself. And he got himself some balloons and whippets that we don't know about.
Yeah, I didn't. I'd give this match it happened. So we got that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rate it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't even consider it a match. I think the best note that I heard was that it was using to hide Britt Baker not being ring ready yet. So I think that was a. But
I can see that.
Just take another 2 weeks. Take another month.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Nobody's expecting her to do that, you know? I get it. It's a pay-per-view, but we have the anniversary show coming up where Lance is taking on Moxley for the title. So why not do it there?
Right. We got some time. There's always a little bit of time. There's no big rush. Britt Baker's had the best part of her career sitting in a wheelchair.
I was going to say, lately she's been better out of the ring than she was in the ring the last few times we saw her. So yeah, why not wait?
Just wait.
Agreed.
All right. If we got anything else, we're going to skip on down to the next match. Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson taking on
Oh yeah.
Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Eric's favorite on the outside, Marco Stunt.
God, I hate Marco Stunt.
I do too. He just needs to stop. Oh my God.
The only thing I can keep that I'll give a positive mark on Marco Stunt is that he is only being used as a manager, I don't even know if you want to call him a manager, but as just as a mascot is the term I'm looking for. And he's using it to get thrown around and take some stupid bumps.
I will give AEW some props on that. A few months ago, Marco Stunt was involved in almost every single dinosaur match. And people were selling for him. Lance Archer was selling for him. And anyone who sells for Marco Stunt can't be taken seriously at all.
No, but we do have to give him a little bit of respect, because when Dynamite was being taped during the COVID whole thing, he took some beatings from Brody and Lance. So
he did.
But yeah, I agree. The selling from him, he's annoying. I know that he's a small guy, probably got tormented growing up. I respect him. He's tough, but I don't really like seeing him in action, to be honest.
Right. He's a better weapon than a wrestler. So.
Well, yeah, that's where I'll take a page out of Cornette's book, where he refers to it as all-inclusive wrestling. There are people with limitations. I'm 38 years old and 260 pounds. I know I can't get in a wrestling ring, but if I was buddies with the Young Bucks and Tony Khan, I guarantee you I'd be able to get a contract tomorrow.
All right, so Eric, you want to kick us off and start talking about this Young Bucks Jurassic, easy for me to say, Jurassic Express match?
First thing I noticed with Matt Jackson and Jungle Boy starting off, 100 miles an hour right off the bat, just no chill whatsoever. We're going to get into a full-on indie go match right off the bat. And this is where we see Luchasaurus finally did get in there after a few minutes. This is where we see one of his biggest weaknesses, where he doesn't have very much ring awareness. You'll find him standing in spots just waiting for shit to happen. He doesn't know how to keep busy. Either that or the Young Bucks timing was really off.
I think he's just 2 steps behind, or he's just get to the mark, hit the mark, and wait for it. Is the vibe
right?
He's up?
That's what he's doing. He's just finding his mark and waiting for the spot to happen, and it looks like shit.
It looks like shit. Where you at, Michael, on starting on this match?
Jungle Boy, obviously, he started out the match really, really fast, and I think Luchasaurus has kind of been known for, he comes in and clears house. He clears the ring. I mean, I got to give the guy respect for his athletic ability. I mean, he hit a crazy tope suicida into a front flip over the top rope, and a standing moonsault, which is probably not easy for someone his size. But some of the back and forth when this match started out was pretty crazy. Like it drew me in, definitely. And I was, I never really have an issue with the Young Bucks and how they do things. I love their style. I know JR sometimes doesn't like it, but this got me into the pay-per-view, I'm going to be honest. Just this fast-paced, high-flying action, some of the stuff that Nick was doing on the running the ropes, diving off. I mean, I don't know how they freaking do it.
Yeah, I'm a Young Bucks guy, as well mentioned many, many times, so I always enjoy me a Young Bucks match. How did you feel as the match went on and progressed? As we got a little deeper in the match, you almost started to see a little bit of a different side of the Young Bucks. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah. The commentators, I think they overdid it a little bit, and Matt and Nick Jackson just kind of overdid it a little bit. It's just heel move after heel move, dirty trick after, unsportsmanlike conduct, and it was just constant. It was a constant flow of shove it down your throat that these guys are teasing the heel turn.
Yeah.
They turned it up to 11 and didn't give us a chance to figure it out whatsoever.
How do you feel, Mike?
Yeah, they definitely were pushing it down our throats a little bit. But I kind of like the dirty tricks. But I thought that one of the really good things that this potential heel turn brought us is I think that it really put over Jungle Boy Jack Perry because he took, I think, a Meltzer driver or a package pile driver, something like that.
Right.
And then he took a double super kick and then the BTE trigger to finally put him out. So it took a lot to put this guy down, and he took all of it like a champ. So I think the main benefit that from this is that it's kind of elevating Jack Perry a little bit, and I'm glad about that.
How do you feel about them using the Jack Perry name? We'll dive into that. We've chatted about that it was always Jungle Boy, and then JR sounds like he'd get a little confused, and he'd call him Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Personally, I think it's kind of the best thing that could happen for his character, as it gives him somewhere to go after Jungle Boy. Do you know? I don't know.
Well, I have a few thoughts on this for sure. I've thought about this. Actually, I think I said in one of my post shows that it's going to limit him being Jungle Boy. But then I thought to myself, we still call Ric Flair the Nature Boy, and he's in his 70s. So I don't know. Maybe we have a comparison there, but I think he's definitely going to have to drop the Jungle Boy name to elevate himself. And I think a lot of people forget that he does have some star power behind him because his dad was Luke Perry, a famous actor. So people kind of can tie that name together, and I think that can bring in some casual fans. So I definitely think that it should kind of be Jack Perry. I don't know. I like it a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. Although I did hear from the very beginning that he just wanted to be Jungle Boy. He did not want to ride. He didn't want to use his dad's momentum to gain fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's why he almost insisted that they didn't call him Jack Perry. They just called him Jungle Boy. But that was a while ago. Maybe he has learned a bit. But we got to realize how young he is. He's still got years and years to improve. And I think he could afford to put a little bulk on him. He is small. But I think
like
the potential, the potential in Jungle Boy is unlimited. And Luchasaurus just kind of disappointed me. I am going to agree with you. He's athletic as all hell. That tope he hit was really nice. But what I have here, he was clunky as shit, and he just comes off as super green. No pun intended, him being a dinosaur. But
my take on where are we at here? Luchasaurus, sorry. I almost got as confused as JR. I believe he called him what do you call him? Lucha Express. Luchasaurus or something like that. He was trying to say Luchasaurus and Jurassic Express and called them Lucha Express in the pay-per-view, which was funny. Luchasaurus, he's just big, and he's trying to be that luchador style, which is he's trying to mix big man wrestling and luchador style, and those are two polar opposites of the planet of wrestling. So he's trying to combine to make a new style, and when it works, it looks good.
Well,
one
definite example. There's a couple definite examples of how green he is, where he had one of the Buck brothers on his shoulder, literally goes out of his way in the ring, and probably takes about 5 or 6 steps to go into the Young Bucks corner so that the other Buck brother could pull him off. It looked so planned.
Like he just like nicks on his back.
Yeah,
walk over there. Walk over to my corner.
And then that whole catch me spot where he jumps into the audience and launches himself. Again, athletic as all hell, but he didn't hit his mark, obviously, because Joey Janela and friends had to all collectively get together, and like they're doing the cha-cha slide, they had to take 2 or 3 steps to the left to make sure they could get on their mark to catch Luchador or Luchasaur.
Luchasaurus. Do you think he's Saurus? Young Bucks take the win
with the BTE trigger on the Jungle Boy.
BTE trigger on the Jungle Boy. The Young Bucks take the dub, and they're moving on and kind of turning a little dirty. So we'll see what happens here.
Good. I'd like to see what happens with that. Later on in the show, we see them and Omega kind of hanging out, still being buds, but not to spoil the ending there. Omega takes off without the Young Bucks, so who knows? Maybe there's some tension brewing there too.
that make you excited over there, Michael?
Oh yeah, I can't wait for this.
So we will see what happens with the Young Bucks. What I get excited about is that there'll be some new Young Bucks shirts when they turn heel. I can get some. There'll be new merchandise.
AEW shop's going to be making some money off of you.
Yeah, at least buy one. All right. Next, we go into the Casino Battle Royale.
Ooh.
This was interesting. They did it in, was it 5-man increments, and they had them divided up into clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades group, and blah blah blah. The only thing I thought, so I'll start with this. They didn't even have like a graphic to like play on the big video screen of like what, because it was supposed to be shuffled every time, right? Of which group was coming out. That was like the big sell when they explained the match. That it was going to be a different suit, and then that's the group you come out. So they could have at least had a stupid little video playing.
Right. Instead, they just tell you, yeah, we're shuffling it right now.
Oh, it's the spade.
Yeah.
And then, like, the guys walk out. So they could have made it.
All it said was right, it says the hearts.
Yeah. So I thought that they could have had, like, something on the TV where, like, you know, WWE, like, at least had the cards up and, like, an old Price is Right thing or something, and then it just stops on, I don't know. There was no surprise. There's no, I don't know. Anyways. So we start out with the clubs group, I believe, was up first.
Yeah, and that was Trent, the Blade, Ray Phoenix, Christopher Daniels, and Jake Hager.
Jake Hager, yeah, those were your first 5 coming into the ring. So, Eric, where were you at on this whole battle royal? Are you a fan of battle royals? Are you a fan of the? It's kind of like it was like a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I don't love them. I don't hate them, and there was nothing spectacular about the first few parts of this match. I'm just going to jump right to what everyone was talking about, that being Matt Seidel's debut.
Oh,
the Joker.
The Joker. So I made a bold prediction last week. I was hoping that I was right. Cody was nowhere to be seen on this card, and I was taking a wild stab. Cody was going to be our Joker of the evening. And
I had a dumb prediction for this one. That did not come true.
Evidently mine was pretty dumb too. And I just thought it was a way to get him back in and then, and work his way back up the card. And then I totally assumed a WWE style of way of thinking. Whoever was the Joker was the winner, right? Because that's like the surprise entrant. The surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble is always number 30, and they always win. Like, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
I was with Brian on that. I also had Cody coming in and getting his, backdoor shot at the AEW championship. But what was your prediction, Michael?
I had this crazy idea based on what we've seen on New Japan Strong with Kenta calling out Moxley for the IWGP title. I thought Bullet Club, like Kenta and Jay White, were going to make some weird appearance here, maybe either enter the Battle Royal or cost John Moxley the match. I don't know. I maybe thought that Tony Khan had worked something. I know that's absolutely wild, but it would have been sick. So when Seidel came out, I didn't even recognize him at first. I was like, and I was like, oh, it's Evan Bourne. Awesome. And then he gets up on the rope and he botched, and I feel so bad for him. I mean, that he had so much ring rust. That must feel like crap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did write down here, which is a little cruel, but who had the worst debut, Matt Seidel or the Shockmaster? I don't know. They were both pretty rough.
Shockmaster all day. That poor bastard in his spray-painted glitter fucking Star Wars mask.
Oh, that thing. Okay.
Oh, that was bad. So then the next group you got coming in, Frankie Kazarian, Will Hobbs, Chuck Taylor, Santana, and Ortiz. And, of course, you had they split up. They split up the best friends, and then they bring out Santana and Ortiz together, is what it was. Those guys were, obviously they built this right to put the teams together to kind of show the animosity and let some guys get their shit in before the ring was crowded.
Right, and really no real notes on this one besides them still pushing the Ortiz, Santana, and the best friends beef going on.
Yeah.
And I like to nitpick little things, obviously, if anyone's been listening for 16 weeks. When the fireworks were going off in the background, Tony Schiavone just always has to be the ass and everything, lets us know that, guys, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Oh,
You're a
Oh,
few months
yeah, he
off
did
on their
say that.
skiavone.
Idiot.
oh, he said Memorial Weekend.
He said Memorial Day weekend.
I get him confused too, so I can't be too mad at him. I always go the second Monday we get off that ends the summer. We got one that starts the summer and one that ends the summer.
Shit, he's been a wrestling commentator for like 40 years. Figure out the holidays there, Tony.
Well, don't get me wrong. If I'm hosting a pay-per-view, I might have some notes in front of me on what the date is and where I'm at, just to make sure I get my shit right.
Now, the next big note I have is the whole body bag spot. So I don't know. Did anything big or exciting happen before the body bag spot?
I'll just run through the next quick bunch of entrances. The third group was the Hearts. It was Billy, Penta El Zero, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Darby Allin. So this is leading into what you were talking about. Then we wrap it up with Sean Spears, Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Sonny Kiss, Lance Archer, and then obviously Matt Sydal as the Joker coming in with the number 21 spot. So, yeah. Then you get Brian Cage, Darby Allin, and Ricky Starks all in the ring. So now you know all attention is off of wherever we're at. I don't have the order of eliminations. That would be a lot to sit here and talk about. But all of the attention now seems going to be off of the Best Friends and Santana and Ortiz, and now moving on to Brian Cage, Darby Allin, and Ricky Starks. And this is where your favorite spot of the night comes in, the body bag.
Oh my God! Could this be any more set up, acted out? Ricky Starks. I always want to call him John Starks. Ricky Starks slides the body bag in to Brian Cage. Cage, takes his time pouring the thumbtacks into the body bag, and Darby Allin, we just get to see him like he's trying to wiggle his ass into a sleeping bag at fucking day camp, just crawling into the bag and making sure everything's in the right spot so Brian Cage can zip him up. But then he ended up taking a hell of a bump on the outside.
He did. It was just a little slow for me was the only thing that I did not like about this spot. I don't mind a good over-the-top, cheesy, loaded up spot like this, but it was just too much. It was getting the body bag into the ring, getting the body bag open, holding up the second bag, and then the crowd popping because there's going to be tacks inside there, then exposing the tacks, dumping them in, and then putting a full-grown man inside this half a body bag.
Well, it was
a lot of steps.
Yeah, it was just Darby Allin putting himself into the bag, which really really was eating me alive.
Right. Where you at,
This
Mike?
was too much, too. I mean, this was a cool spot, but the minute he landed, I knew, damn, he fucked himself up. Like, he's not going to be able to go on and have a career if he keeps doing stuff like this. Like, he's jumping off bridges last week. He's taking these crazy bumps. I mean, that had to kill. And he's got to calm down. Like, we know you're tough, man. I don't know.
For nothing, too, for these kind of like limited spots to get eliminated from a battle royal. We're going to take
Brian Cage, who's been buried.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, he has a little bit.
Right. Like back in the olden days, if you were going to take a bump off a scaffolding or something, you kind of rub your fingers together and you ask for a little more pay, and the promoter slides a couple grand if you're going to do something extremely dangerous. Darby Allin volunteers for this shit.
Just makes it up on
the he's wild, man.
He's nuts. But like you said, Michael, Brian Cage is just constantly being buried. And
It's sad.
Him and Will Hobbs did a hell of a job in this match.
Hell yeah.
This was my first time even paying attention to Will Hobbs, and that motherfucker can work. But the last three in the ring being Brian Cage, Will Hobbs, and Lance Archer, Lance Archer ends up eliminating Brian Cage and Will Hobbs, which was no surprise to me, seeing as how Brian Cage lost clean to Tessa Blanchard.
TNA.
And fucking TNA.
We got to make sure we mention that. Eric has to make sure he mentions that weekly.
Every week.
We can talk about real quick. We got Pentagon changing his name. Anybody have some thoughts on the Penta El Zero or however you say it now?
I was curious about that.
Are you a fan? Up, down? Where you at, Michael? Of this?
Oh, he's like one of my favorites ever. I love that.
I love Penta, but what do you think about the name change?
Well, it's I guess to go along with No Fear, right?
Yeah, I think what it really came down to is they just weren't working as much with AAA anymore, and AAA wanted to keep that name. They own the rights to Pentagon Junior. So,
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with that. Also, I mean, they're the AAA tag champs, but I don't think they can get into Mexico right now.
yeah,
So I think there's Pentagon. Is there a Pentagon Senior? Maybe.
yes, because there was a big deal in the original, something along those lines of him being Pentagon Junior.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we saw him at All In, Eric, Pentagon was there, and he was something else. He was like, I forget what they called him at the original All In, but he's always had these weird name changes with AAA owning that name that he wants to use. So I don't mind it.
Call him Penta.
Penta. I don't mind it. It's fine. It goes good. The Cerro Negro, however you say it. I'm not Spanish by any means. Zero fear.
Cerro Miedo.
Cerro Miedo.
No, I've never really paid
Cerro
attention.
Dinero is what they call me. Zero money.
I've never really paid attention to his name changes. I've noticed them, but I don't pay attention to him because his gimmick is unmistakable.
Yeah, it's the same.
You always know it's him in the ring, no matter what. They could call him shit stain for all I care. And you're gonna know who he is by the way he looks, by the way he acts.
That face paint is something else. He put a lot of work into that.
Sick.
I love, and his ring get up is amazing. So, Sean
I
Spears,
did make a mistake earlier. I said the last three in the ring were goddamn Brian Cage, Will Hobbs, and Lance Archer. And yeah, I fucked up there. Eddie Kingston's still floating around.
Oh yeah.
According to Eddie Kingston last night, he never got eliminated. Look up the rules. So anybody else got anything else on this for Sean Spears? They give him the world, they take it away, they give him a black glove, they let him load it up. They he's up, he's down, he's all over the place. I don't necessarily feel bad for him, but I feel bad that he doesn't really know what's going on with the career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hold it against him for this battle royal because, you lose a battle royal, it's not the end of the world. But I will say that I think they're gearing him up for a push. Obviously, I think he's going to be in the Four Horsemen whenever that happens. And he's been killing it on Dark, although, I mean, they're not really the best wrestlers. I think this guy, I think he's just underutilized, man. I could see him as like a TNT champion one day. I don't know. I like him.
I just haven't seen enough of him to really form an opinion on him. To me, he's just kind of there.
That's true.
There's nothing exciting about him. Like, I've never heard of Eddie Kingston. I don't watch much indie stuff. But the minute I saw Eddie Kingston and the minute I heard him talk, I was instantly a fan. It was just
he's awesome.
He has the it that wrestling promoters talk about.
Yeah, he can never actually get in the ring and wrestle another match, but as long as he's there yakking it up, I'll tune in when he's on the mic. Shake his hand,
Exactly.
my best friend. I love you. He's just in everybody's face screaming he loves them and shaking hands. He's always mad about something.
How long could they drag that spot on, though, with Eddie Kingston on the turnbuckle and Jake Roberts just awkwardly holding the bag in the air and trying to open it? And, oh, boy, that was sad and drug out.
Yeah, drugged out. Was your favorite elimination, Eric? It has to be Sonny Kiss's elimination.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because his whole ass was sticking out.
Not even
He's got
that.
the biggest ass in AEW in the men and women's division.
It was just seeing him get in there and eliminate Jake Hager was just something that I was just like, oof. I don't know.
Undefeated Bellator MMA. Eliminated.
He gets eliminated by a guy half his size. Not even
half his size and half his gender, for Christ's sake.
It's just it was just an interesting elimination. There was other big guys in there. There's plenty of guys to do a group elimination, but just to have that be a solo one, nonetheless.
That's probably my biggest problem with AEW is starting with Jericho. It's just everybody seems to be selling their soul to be all inclusive. And I just wish they would kind of take it back a notch to where tough guys need to be in the ring with tough guys. And a guy like Jake Hager, a Bellator fighter, a real ass-kicking son of a bitch, does not need to be selling and bumping for a
Sunny kiss.
Sunny kiss.
You can just pick him
Well,
up.
I will counter with that. I agree with the Hager part because he's a monster, and that's not going to happen in real life. But I do think that he's pretty freaking good in the ring, Sonny Kiss. I'm not going to lie, and I think that he could kick a good number of the roster's ass. I don't know. Like, he's tougher than a lot of people, but not Hager. You're right about that. I don't know why they did that. That's stupid.
Right. You could have the same person. You put him up against Sean Spears. You have the elimination on Sean Spears. You have the elimination on even Ricky Starks. You put the elimination on Trent or Chuck Taylor.
T. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
you can fight,
Exactly.
right? I can whatever. Okay. Equal sizes. You're in the same boat, but you're talking two different weight classes, two different genders of that's terrible. Two different species in the ring.
Caliber. Yeah. Different caliber.
Right.
For sure.
So even a Darby Allin, you throw Darby out. Cool.
I think where I run into the problem of thinking of Sonny Kiss as tough is just the way he sells. He's very effeminate when he sells. You hear the shit like that. The way he walks and the way he sells is so weak and so woman-like that I would say if somebody who's not a wrestling fan or who's never seen AEW, if they walked into the ring and saw Sonny Kiss fighting, they would be like, "Oh, they're having girls fight guys now."
A little thrown off. That's always.
I think he's gender fluid anyway because JR says she. On the podcast, the Unrestricted, I think Sonny said it doesn't even matter. So I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't want to get castrated for this.
Right.
I think it's fluid.
Well, nonetheless, we'll just leave that alone.
He identifies as both. He's told JR that call me whatever you want. But Cornette had a real problem. He obviously doesn't have any problem getting castrated by
that's how he makes his money.
Right. He's almost like a shock jock on his podcast. But yeah, he was just absolutely pissed that JR would call him she. He thought he still holds that JR has a lot of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Which JR does. Like I said, he didn't say shit about that Britt Baker match. But Cornette has this opinion that Tony Khan and Sonny Kiss strong-armed JR into calling Sonny Kiss she, and I don't think that's the case. I think that's what JR's comfortable calling him.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. And I love how Cornette always defends JR. I mean, Cornette hates AEW, but I like Cornette. I mean, my question to kind of bring it back to the match was, did you guys think that Lance was going to win? Because coming into this, I was like, damn, they've been really underutilizing Lance Archer. Like, this guy's a freaking monster, former IWGP US champion. I was like, what do they have for him? And then the Battle Royal got announced. And I was like, I think Lance is going to win.
He was towards I don't remember what we said last week, but I'll be honest with you. He would be, because we ran through it last week, and it's like, right, you go, Trent, no, tag, the tag team guys, boom, they're out. I put Jake up there was a possibility for me. I didn't know much about Will Hobbs going into it. Penta and Ray Phoenix were out. So as you go down the line, so towards the top, my big pick was the Joker, just because I just took kind of an old school Brian Cage possibly, but they just did it with him once, basically.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Ladder match thing. So yeah, he was towards my top, and hopefully they do it right this time.
Right.
Yeah. Lance Archer was another guy that I didn't know squat about until he hit AEW. And he was another one that I was a fan of from the get-go. This guy just has the Murder Hawk. I want to see him every time I turn on TV. So when he won this match, now, even though I watched All Out after it aired, I still didn't know the results yet. I stayed away from the results. So as I'm watching him win, I'm like, this is fantastic news if Moxley holds on to that belt, because I think, in my opinion, it's time for Moxley to drop that belt. So if Moxley wins, this is good news for Archer. I could see a feud and a potential title change coming. But if MJF ended up winning later that night, bad news, big bad news for Lance Archer, because there's no way they would use MJF as a transitional champion. Once they put that belt on him, he's holding on to it for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I could see them doing that with Lance for Full Gear and Kenny, maybe.
Lance and Kenny.
I think that could I don't know. I mean, I think Mox is getting into the groove as champion finally. He's been hit with the pandemic, which sucks. But, I mean, these two have went to war in Japan, and Lance has beaten Moxley in Japan for the U.S. title.
Yes.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. And then they're going at it on for the anniversary show. Is that when they're
Yeah.
skipping ahead a little bit, but face it, people, it's been
Spoiler alert.
It's been like 5 days if you haven't watched it. Stop listening to the podcast. Come back later. Anything else on the Battle Royal before we move on? Lance Archer's your winner. He's taking on we'll figure it out. Who's he going to take on? Is it going to be got to sell it.
I gave this three stars, solid 3 stars.
The Battle Royal.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you on that.
Can't disagree with it. It was I watched it the whole time. I didn't get bored and zone out. Next we move into Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara.
And the Broken Rules match. Man, this thing was rough and unfortunate.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man.
There's nothing like, can't even tear it apart. You can't even get into it. So if you haven't watched it, if you're not going to watch it, Matt Hardy takes a hell of a bump in the back off of a scissor lift that's supposed to go on through a table. That was an obvious as I saw the table, and they're like, look, that's where the fans picked up their masks if they didn't have any. And then you go, oh, somebody's going through that. And then takes a spear essentially from Sammy Guevara, and they hit the table, and he just missed it, and his head hit the ground, and you looked at him and knew he was out. I mean, there wasn't anything.
That's the only thing I can shit on is Aubrey Edwards should have known from the get-go, because we could tell at home, soon as he hit the ground, he was out.
That looked so bad.
She had called it. She had kept Sammy away. I think their original way, to me, what it seemed like the way they were trying to get out of it, because they're sitting there on live TV. She got Sammy back, and then Sammy just said, start counting. He just yelled, start counting. All you got to do is get to 10 and the match is over.
Right. Figure it out from there.
But the unpredictability of somebody being knocked unconscious and being a little loopy is that you don't know how they're going to react, and he decides to get up. He goes into muscle memory, instinctive, is running off his instincts, and Matt gets up and he's stumbling around. Unfortunately, he looked drunk. What I would say, somebody looked like it was pilled out or drunk. Now, clearly I know he wasn't, but he just got his bell rung terribly. And they kind of got it stopped again. They got it separated. She had called twice. She did the X. Aubrey Edwards did that X and called it, and then finally the doctor came up, and then they just put the kibosh on it for like
they
45 seconds.
Right.
I don't know what their plans were doing, because they were following Sammy out. I don't know if he was just going to go talk some smack out in the ring because they were following him, and then boom, out of nowhere, the match kind of starts back up again.
And I'm not going to say this is Sammy Guevara's fault that the bump got taken wrong, but this is almost twice that Matt Hardy fucking almost died working with Sammy Guevara. I think he needs to move on to a new
third
feud.
Mistake. Yeah.
Right.
This is insane. I mean, they were saying, like, in KayFabe, like a week ago, I guess in the countdown to All Out, it's like, oh, we better settle this because we're going to seriously hurt each other. Well, you did the chair botch, which split him open 16 stitches. Then Sammy got his head split open the next week.
Right.
I don't know what the hell that they were doing, but, I don't want to criticize this too much because I have a lot of respect for Matt Hardy, but, I think he's selling himself short. Like, he is taking these crazy, crazy bumps, and he's not a young guy. He needs to I guess maybe he's trying to prove something that he's still got it. He's still tough. We all know that because obviously what we saw when he came back on Dynamite, he got an ovation, tons of support from everyone online. He does not need to be taking these crazy-ass bumps from 20 feet in the air. He's got to get into more of the role that kind of Jericho is, where he's just, he took a mimosa bump. He's doing these like novelty matches. He's on the announce. He's more of a manager. I mean, like, he's going to kill himself.
Yeah, he needs to get into that Hogan role, if you will. Hogan from WCW comes in, gets a couple spots. Weekly, he just talks smack, and then takes a couple pay-per-view spots here and there. They finish out the match. They kind of loosely climb up the scaffolding. I was holding my breath that nothing crazy was going to happen again. That Matt wasn't going to get dizzy or something while climbing this, or pass out or black out. But they finally got through. They got to the spot. Boom, boom, boom. He falls into the stage, which is whatever. It was
made of cardboard or whatever.
Cardboard, yeah.
Just for the sake of this match, even taking away the injury, this was the second time this match should have ended the first time. The ending of this match was just sloppy and slow, and yeah, there's not much more you can say about it.
Yeah.
Did you guys see what his wife said?
She wasn't too happy about it.
I have notes about that. Because Tony Khan tweeted that there was no concussion, that he was 100% fine, and Rebby Hardy was pretty pissed about that. She tweeted, he 1,000% had a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
If he didn't have a concussion, but he was out. He was like gone. He was go night-night.
And I instantly thought of Katsuyori Shibata with his headbutt, the New Japan legend, won the New Japan Cup. He was really getting a push for the IWGP Championship. And then he got like a cerebral hemorrhage in the brain and he never wrestle again. Now he's a coach for the LA Dojo. But this isn't the first time. Hayabusa, FMW, he died of a similar thing with a blood clot in the brain. Like, you got to be careful with this. And I get the whole finishing the show thing. I know that's really important, but this isn't the 80s where we got Vader sticking his eye back in. Like, there's lawsuits, liability, there's social media, there's people that have been documented to have died. This just kind of put a stain on everything a little bit moving forward.
That's a great analogy.
I think they should have just left it where it was, and they could have had Matt just go get rehabbed, get clean, not get clean, but get healthy, get put back together.
You keep confusing them with Jeff there, Brian.
Yeah. get healthy and then come back, and they could have squared this up somehow. But nonetheless, it happened. Unfortunately, this was a match I had high hopes for. No fault of really nobody's, so I won't poo-poo on it too much because it didn't really happen. Hikaru Shida taking on Thunder Rosa.
Oh.
Now, I started watching this match because I was kind of excited to see Thunder Rosa. When Cornette was doing commentary on NWA, I would watch every week, and I like Thunder Rosa. But watching this match, I probably got about 5 minutes into it, and the vibes I got from it was this could be an opening card match for NXT. They just wrestled like total complete girls, and it was just two little sisters fighting it out over a Barbie doll or something. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I fast forwarded.
Michael, where you at?
It was really hard for me to get in the right headspace because I was like, what the hell just happened to Matt? Is he going to make it? So I'm not going to really dock points from Shida and Thunder Rosa because of that. But, I was, despite the wrestling, I thought it was okay. I didn't rate it that highly. I thought this was a great opportunity to introduce NWA and a potential partnership with AEW. So I was really happy to see that. Apparently there's not an official partnership, but we have Thunder Rosa appearing on Dynamite soon, I think next week. So, I'm glad that she's working with the company. But it was a little bit underwhelming. I've seen Shida do better. I think that her match with Nyla was one of the top women's matches that we've ever had at Double or Nothing. I don't know. It just was really hard for me to get into this, and it's not really their fault, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point that what happens in front of it, I didn't even really put two and two together, to be honest with you, that you just watched almost somebody die taking a dive off the spot there, and it kind of sucks the wind out of the following match, no matter I think what you put up into it. So I'm just kind of let it sit there. Akira Shida defeated Thunder Rosa and retains that AEW championship. I didn't know if they were going to do a co-title challenge there.
That's what I thought. I thought that would have been so cool if she had the NWA championship, or if Thunder Rosa won, and she got the AEW women's title, which has changed hands kind of more often than the other title, so it wasn't out of the question. I think that Shida, it would have been a great opportunity for her to appear on Power when that comes back, or their new weekly pay-per-view series, which is debuting on Tuesday with Nick Aldis and Mike Bennett. I think that would have been cool, and it would have gotten NWA some more exposure, because NWA, they deserve some more spotlight, in my opinion. It's a great promotion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I know listening to three guys agree on the internet's always the most entertaining, but hey, I can't disagree. Anything else?
I did rate the match highly, though.
Would you give it?
I thought that it was pretty solid. It wasn't the most entertaining, but I did give this a 4.5, because I thought it was one of the better women's matches that we've seen on AEW, and I got to give credit for that.
Now, the only thing I'm going to challenge you on that, Michael, is one of your first comments was, despite the wrestling, this was a good match. Well, isn't wrestling 90% of the match?
That's true. I guess I factored in a little bit of the storytelling of, this is the NWA Women's Champion, created in 1937 versus the AEW Women's Champion. And I probably, if I could, maybe I would edit it down to a 4 or 3 3/4. But, I released these right after. So at the time, I was pretty pumped about it. But
they gave it a long time,
it wasn't her
too.
best match.
They gave it a long time. 16 minutes they gave for this match. And I don't know if they extended that out a little longer as the lead-in match to this. Matt and Sammy only went 9 minutes, so I don't know if they gave them a few extra minutes to go, but 16 minutes is pretty long.
You know what I thought was going to happen? I thought that after the Matt and Sammy incident happened, I thought that they were going to kind of have a quick match, Shida versus Thunder Rosa. I thought they were going to throw something else on the card just to surprise us, to make up for time. I thought that Avalon and Cutler were going to have a match. This is another one of my crazy theories.
Hey, sometimes you got to swing in the dark, swing for the fences there, and hope you get the best. Next match, where are we at here? This is the 8-man tag match. Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, the Natural Nightmares, Dustin, and QT Marshall, with taking on the Dark Order, Brody Lee, Colt, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. There you go, 8-man tag. Eric, let's have you take us off and lead some of this here. I know you love a overwhelming 8-man tag match.
And who do they put in to referee this match? The man who absolutely cannot control chaos whatsoever, your boy, Rick Knox.
Rick Knox, yes. Rick isn't as bad as the other guy that I absolutely hate.
Mike Posney.
No, damn it. I forget the other guy's name. It'll come.
Ebner.
He's terrible. He doesn't even count. He just stands there in the ring. It'll come to me in 2 seconds.
I know who you're talking about now. I know exactly.
Yeah, that's how good he is. Everybody,
Yeah.
got 3 guys here who watch the pay-per-view and can't remember the dumbass's name. All right, so what did you think about the match, Eric?
It was just kind of a match. Pizzeria Uno there, he looks like a pile of shit, but when he gets in there with the right guys, he can work. And so once again, he surprised me. Stu Grayson can work his ass off. And I think having Colt Cabana in the match and Matt Cardona, I think having those really trained, experienced pro veterans in there really made everyone else step their game up. Now, as far as being green as pig shit, we're going to go ahead and put Excalibur on the commentating team, who for probably a solid minute straight thought QT Marshall was Matt Cardona.
Did he get confused?
Yeah, QT Marshall was stuck in the corner getting the shit beat out of him, and Excalibur just couldn't stop talking about Matt Cardona, being in the corner getting his ass whipped.
Huh. I absolutely missed that. These 8-man tags, Stated it before, stated again. Sometimes I think there's just too many things going on, too many people, too much gaga, not enough wrestling going on. So it loses me and you get lost in the sauce here. Where are you at on these, Michael?
Well, I mean, maybe to go against you a little bit, I typically really like the 8-man tag matches, and that's in AEW. The New Japan ones, just skip those because they suck. But I usually rate the 8-man tag matches pretty high. Maybe that's because it's been with the Lucha Bros and like the Young Bucks. This was kind of hard to follow. I didn't really get drawn in, but I thought that the highlight of this match maybe wasn't the in-ring performance, but definitely the storytelling behind this, I think, was top-notch. I mean, we had Cody get attacked by the Dark Order, get his ass kicked, thrown off a stretcher, Brandy choked out, and we have his brother, his best friend, and another member of the Nightmare family, QT Marshall, and they recruited, a beast of a guy, Matt Cardona, to come in and get revenge for the family. The Nightmare family isn't dead yet, and they're going to make sure that doesn't happen. So I thought that was awesome, and I could really see that the fire was lit under Dustin's ass the whole time, and he was fighting for Cody, and that was awesome to see.
Right, Dustin was coming out. He was hot the whole time. He was moving good. He was looking loose, looking fresh, not looking as old as he is as a wrestler. Not old by any means, old for a wrestler, and he's getting up there. But the match was good. It just was. There's just a lot of guys to keep track of, and the Dark Order was most of this was for the Dark Order storytelling, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that I will say about, I'm a huge Dark Order fan. I think they're awesome, and I agree with you, Eric. He might not look the best, but Evil Uno can freaking work, and he's a great performer. I think Stu Grayson is highly underrated too. I mean, this guy's super good in the ring. He's ripped. He's intimidating. He's awesome. Then we got Brody, and then we have Colt Cabana, who is being manipulated by the Dark Order. He doesn't know what's going on, what the Colt's actually taking part in. It's brilliant. And then at the end, getting screamed at by Brody Lee, letting his leader down. I think it's cool what they're doing, and it's definitely giving Colt something to do, because without this, I think he would have been kind of lost in the bunch.
I'm going to agree with you. The storytelling in this match was top-notch for every single reason you mentioned. Now, from a pure wrestling standpoint, it was a little spotty, a little hard to take, keep an eye on things. But when you did get those small moments, such as Matt Cardona and Colt Cabana being one-on-one in the ring, you got to see what pro wrestling is. A lot of the times wrestling gets lost in the sauce in favor of gymnastics instead. But you get to see the artist formerly known as Zack Ryder and Colt Cabana get in there and really put on a wrestling show. And then you have Cardona showing how to get heat on people. He was getting tremendous heat on Stu Grayson. And Stu Grayson's another one who, man, that guy's coming up. The Dark Order, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but there are some stars sprinkled in there that I could see definitely getting out of the mask and going out on their own sometime, hopefully soon.
I think that the gelling that we've seen, or the coming together of Stu and Evil Uno has been amazing over the last couple months almost now, where they really put their, month or two that they've been back as a full-on tag team with their traveling and everything that's gotten sorted out during the pandemic. But they just look like they're a well-oiled machine. They look like a tag team, and it was good. And then, like, the storytelling for me was where it was at. I agree with Eric. The wrestling was wrestling. There's a lot of guys, a lot of stuff going on, but the storytelling of the Nightmare family staying alive, followed up with the not the crumbling, but the rebuilding of the Dark Order, whatever it means.
And
I just
didn't like how Brandy Rhodes had to be involved. She has to stick her nose in and be involved in everything, whether she's the, lead wardrobe assistant or lead marketing for merchandise or getting involved in every match she can, see out there. Just her getting in there with Anna Jay, maybe it was just to push us that number 99 Anna Jay was now part of the Dark Order, but it was just like, really, you guys are going to interrupt this match just to have two chicks get in there for 30 seconds? It was just dumb and unnecessary, and I think it was just Brandy wanting to get on TV.
Well, at least they had the point of it was followed over from the show from Dynamite, when she got choked out by Anna Jay. So at least there was animosity there. There was something already built up in the story of those two being in the same spot together. So for Brandy to get a clean shot at a girl who choked her out from behind, she's protecting her husband who's in a neck brace laying on the ground. You got that going for you.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about this is that she needs to turn heel, I think, because, yeah, you're right. I was getting pretty tired of her, so why not be the bad person and let everyone get heat that way? I think that's what Cody and her are going to return as, to be honest.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're already catching heat, might as well embrace it and turn heel.
There you go.
Now, the ending of this match, Brody Lee laid out Dustin with tremendous clothesline. And Dustin, now that we mentioned him, we didn't mention him much. That he just, man, he was amazing. I think he's in the best shape of his career, which is, kind of a hard sell seeing how he's 50 years old. But he gets the MVP of this match. But yeah, he took that clothesline, and Brody tried to give the win to Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana goes for a moonsault, completely blows it, and loses the match. And Brody went ham on him.
He's not the number one son anymore. He's the bad son.
You guys see the promo after?
I'm going to be honest with you. I might have missed it. I'm yelling at kids or something. So what?
Dustin got in front of the camera.
Yeah, no, I saw this. Go ahead.
That was great. I mean, wow. And then he got the TNT title opportunity. I mean, man, this guy deserves a freaking break after, it's a sin what they did to him as Goldust. He's so talented. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think that he knew that he was going to get that title shot? Do you think he was just a good actor? Where do you think it almost sold it to me where they just kind of looked like they might have surprised him live on TV? But
yeah, I don't know.
I can fall for some of that stuff. He did pretty good, but it looked legit. You felt it. So yeah, that was the 8-man tag. Dark Order taking on the Nightmare Family. Nightmare Family getting the dub. And there you go. FTR. Tully Blanchard taking on Kenny and Adam Page. Eric, what was your big giveaway of how this match was going to end? Because I have one. When they were introduced, I said, "Oh, it's a wrap," because you can't hold the title when Hangman Page goes from panties to pants.
When you switch from panties to pants, that's usually a bad sign.
Bad sign.
Look it up in the history books. But
Okada. For sure. Every time he wore pants, he lost.
Yeah. See?
But this is another one where they just, shove the obvious things down your throat. The problems between Adam Page and Kenny Omega were just so stagey and so obvious. And it's like, we get it. They're going to split.
Yeah, I wasn't as mad at this one for the overact because they had been building it up for me for several weeks now. So they have been off kilter the entire time. So I wasn't so mad at that. As it seems that you didn't like that as much. But Kenny and Adam obviously going just butting heads. They never were a real tag team to me. They never came out together. They were never even had a tag team name. They didn't even force a name. They weren't like the Omega Page or something or the Page of Omega. They were just Kenny and then Adam. And they were just two guys that happened to win. And then FTR, they are a tag team. They're a tag team, and then they've picked up the managing of Tully Blanchard. They've added him into the mix, who is the one from, he is a tag team himself, right? So this had to go this way. If this went any other way, I think it was going to be a big, big disappointment. Michael, how do you feel on this match?
Man, I'm going to go against the grain here. I submitted a bunch of predictions for All Out, I think, that the morning of, and I've spoken out time and time again that I think AEW has a little bit of a predictability problem sometimes. I knew that this was like the right thing, what everyone was talking about online, but I predicted that Hangman and Omega were going to stay together, and I don't know. I thought that they'd be working better together, and I thought that they had a shot. I'm a little bit biased because, Kenny's my favorite wrestler. Adam's probably like my number 2. I mean, I love these guys. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of them, so I didn't want to see this happen, to be honest. But I knew that.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
I think we can see more magic from Kenny and Adam going in a feud and fighting each other than we're gonna see in a tag team situation.
Yeah, I agree. And I've read, people were kind of saying the tag team belts have been held hostage a little bit. I kind of agree with that. I'm happy that FTR had a great performance. But the match was awesome.
Right.
So that's a plus.
Now, one thing I'll say about FTR, I may have said this a couple times. Anytime FTR is in the ring, whoever they're wrestling, they elevate. Either they're just really good ring generals and they're really good at directing the match, or the other team finds it necessary to really step their game up. But Kenny Omega kind of slowed down on the happy feet a little bit and, really worked well with FTR. This was the best I've seen Kenny Omega and Adam Page together in a match. Me being not the biggest fan of Omega, I love Adam Page, and I can't wait for Adam Page to be a star on his own. But just a great example of how FTR shows people how things should be done is Dax really working to get that heat, staying on top of Page, not letting Page move an inch. Anytime Page thought he could wiggle out, Dax would just drop right back on him and put him in a hammerlock or, grab him around the neck or something. And it's just Dax and Cash know how to get that heel heat.
Yes, that is 100% fact. I was happy with this because I'm just happy to see a little bit of a change and what can come from the change, as now we've got FTR holding the tag team belts, and now maybe we can start to put them and get into that tag team division and really start to see what some other guys can do. And then Adam and Kenny, man, I think that should be a cool one-on-one thing that I think is going to happen, or I hope happens, because I think there can be a lot there. And really start to bring it back, bring back that Kenny Omega from New Japan, the one that everybody, with Chris Jericho and with Okada and, all that made him famous. Let's bring that Kenny back. I don't think we've seen that Kenny in AEW yet. We've seen a different Kenny. I wouldn't say it went over the greatest for me. I like the New Japan Kenny, so I want to see that.
He's a DDT Pro Wrestling Kenny.
Yeah.
He's not the New Japan Kenny. He's a comedy guy.
I didn't know him from there. So.
It's kind of similar to right now. He's not the cleaner or the best battle machine. It's kind of more like a fun-loving, like, American guy, basically. But I agree with you completely. I think the highlight of this match for me was that crazy spot where Cash Wheeler got up on the turnbuckle with Hangman, and they did like kind of a Spanish fly off the top rope. I mean, wow, that looks freaking awesome. And you're right, Eric. FTR, they did a crazy good job of classic tag team wrestling. They were cutting the ring in half. They wouldn't let Hangman go. I mean, they really wore down their competitors. I love how they're holding the tag ropes, but then when the ref turns around, it's kind of being dirty. I mean, these guys they're awesome. I gotta give it to them.
Yeah, 100%. And they show you that I think a lot of AEW fans, at least the 700,000 hardcore ones that are there every week, they think wrestling nowadays has to go full speed at all times. And there has to be 15 tope suicidas and cartwheel, backflip, elbow drops and whatnot. And FTR kind of shows you that you can have a slower paced match and still be entertaining as all hell.
Exactly.
I'm going to ask your guys' opinion on this one. Did you really see a good reason? I know Page supposedly got, hurt, but he was out of the ring for a really long time while FTR was double teaming Kenny Omega. Did you think that was a little overdone?
It just I kind of was lost in the sauce of the match. So I wasn't watching from that critical eye. I was watching this one from that fan point of view. So I go in and out of what, if the match is entertaining to me, I can get lost in it and I'm just watching it, and it didn't seem too overdone. It was actually brought to my attention when the commentators noted it, and then within 90 seconds after that, it seemed like he was back up on the ring, on the apron, ready for the tag. So it didn't take me out of it by any means. That's all I can give you.
I thought he might have been hurt a little bit, but you know, at the same time, I was also getting kind of lost in it because I remember their match at Revolution with the Bucks, and there was like 5 different times I was like, "Damn, Heyman is hurt for real," and then he got back in. So either he's tough or he's good at selling.
A little bit of both.
Good way to put it.
All right. I know this next match, if you didn't catch it, FTR is your new AEW Tag Team Champions.
They win with 2 spike pile drivers there on Who did they finish off? Omega or Page?
Page.
I thought.
Okay, yeah.
I got lost in my.
Oh yeah, that's why Kenny Omega got pissed off. He's yelling, "I'm done! I'm done!" The Young Bucks are following him out of the arena. I thought they were all going to leave and do an elite circle jerk there, but Omega takes off, jumps in the back seat of his car, leaves the Young Bucks behind, leaves Adam Page beat to hell in the middle of the ring.
There you go.
Once you go down this road, there's no turning back. That's what Kenny said.
I do want to touch on this, Brian. Now, you seem excited for a Kenny Omega Adam Page feud where I think I would be interested in seeing them go their own separate ways, because what would they be fighting for? You know what I mean? There's nothing at stake. It's just they don't like each other. I really don't see too much incentive in them fighting each other or drawing out an actual feud.
Okay,
maybe
one
feud.
Fight. Yeah, okay, feud may be the bad thing. Maybe it's a feud of promos that leads up to a pay-per-view or leads up to the anniversary show or something.
Well, I don't know, because Hangman did screw the Bucks over in the Gauntlet Tag Team match.
Yes.
Adam has a match scheduled with Frankie Kazarian for this upcoming Dynamite. So maybe we could see Kenny taking the Bucks side and interfering in the match. Then we'd be set up with the potential feud. So maybe that's a possibility.
I could definitely see that happening.
Feud doesn't have to be long-term for me. This doesn't have to be a 6-month, 8-month thing where they're going to have a best of 5 matches over the course of 2021 or something. But, I think we get 1 or 2 matches out of these guys, and we'll call it a wrap, so they can go on their own separate ways. That's what I'd like to see. This next match, I'm going to have to guess, would be Eric's favorite on the card.
I don't know.
Cornette,
that Britt Baker, I haven't listened to Cornette yet because I didn't want his influence on my commentary. But I don't know, that big swole Britt Baker match, that's up there with competition of this as match of the night.
Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho, Mimosa Mayhem match.
Now, right off the bat, I'm going to agree with Michael here with AEW having a predictability problem. Chris Jericho has absolutely nothing to gain by winning this match. He's already lost his integrity. He's thrown it out the window by himself by putting Cassidy over so hard, by already losing legitimately to, well, we're wrestling here, it's not so much legitimate, but losing to Cassidy clean, and then every time he cuts a promo, he's, backhanded compliment, putting Cassidy over, just basically jerking Cassidy over. And Jericho's integrity is completely gone, so there is absolutely no reason for him to win this match, which makes it obviously Cassidy's going to win.
So it led to believe. Now, anybody who's listened to the show again over the last 16 weeks know how we all feel about Orange Cassidy. I'm up, I'm down, I'm on the fence, I'm in between. Eric can't stand the guy. Michael, you're the new guy in the show. Where you stand on Orange Cassidy himself, just overall as a character?
Well, I love him. He's a Jersey boy too, so I got to give him props. That's where I'm from. I wasn't the first guy to really jump on the Orange Cassidy train, but I've seen what he can do in the ring. I saw his match at Revolution with Pac, which was they knocked the socks out. That was awesome. I think that he's got a unique style. He's original. He's a draw. We've learned that. He's a ratings draw. So I love him. Now, could I see him as the world champion? No. TNT champion? I don't know. Maybe. I know his style's not for everyone, and I can acknowledge that. But I do have to agree with what Eric said about, Jericho putting him over so hard. It's a little weird. I mean, this guy is the greatest wrestler probably of all time. At least the most accomplished, Chris Jericho. I mean, I don't know. Like, Orange Cassidy's good. He's not on Jericho's level. So, like, after a while, I was like, shut up. Okay, I get it.
Well, yeah, I've mentioned this to Brian in past episodes, to where you got to think about Jericho's past and the way he puts Cassidy over, whether it's in a match or in a promo, that it almost seems like Jericho's trying to elevate Orange Cassidy, which all three of us agree on. Cassidy is not on a Jericho level, but he's almost trying to put him on the same level as a Stone Cold Steve Austin, as a Rock, as a Shawn Michaels, as past opponents of Jericho. And it's just so contrived and just, I don't know.
I also had, I mentioned how I tried to go a little bit against the grain here with my predictions for this whole thing, and I was pulling for Jericho during this match. I mean, there wasn't any reason for him to win, but again, going back to the integrity thing, if he keeps losing, then he doesn't really have that, high bar set for himself. He's not going to be able to put people over if he keeps losing. I thought, regardless of what happened in this match, if Jericho came out on top, I think he still would have been putting Cassidy over, because we had a 3-part series that was pretty good. It just struck me as a little bit predictable. And then the whole Mimosa thing, like, I don't know, it was better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a cinematic match, but at least we had some solid wrestling in there.
I wasn't disappointed nor excited about the match. It was exactly as I expected for this Mimosa match. It was weird, it was goofy, it was gimmicky, and it was exactly what you got. There was no, I don't know. I went in not liking it, so I didn't come out hating it anymore, if you will. I didn't come out loving it either. I just kind of went in going, meh.
Their first match of their series was a lot better than this.
Oh.
Their second match, where Jericho got rolled up, all that, it looked horrible. It was such a sloppy roll up.
That little grapevine thing at the end, yeah.
Oh my God, that was bad. Their first match, I really think that elevated Orange Cassidy though, and it's got his new entrance music and everything.
I don't mind Jericho reaching back and grabbing somebody and going, "Hey, I'm going to give you the Midas touch. I'm Jericho, and I'm going to wrestle you on TV." As you know, Jericho probably wish he had happened to him, especially in WCW, which he didn't have anybody give him anything. He had to go out and take what he wanted. But it's just been over. This has been overdone, and hopefully by the promo that was cut on Wednesday night, last night, it's a wrap, and we're moving on and moving forward. So it sounded like,
I think we are
behind, as Jericho stated. I'm done with this, and now him and who's he tagging with from the was it
Hager?
It was Hager. I got all these guys, and I'm looking at these notes. Yeah, he's going for the tag team championship. But Eric, what you got? I know you got something there.
Well, just this match was what it was. I went into it expecting to hate it, and I wasn't disappointed in that aspect. What I was disappointed with was I expect Jericho to work cleaner. You know what I mean? First of all, hitting Orange Cassidy with clearly a plastic tray and shattering this plastic tray over Orange Cassidy's head and seeing Cassidy sell it, it was just like, ugh. But what really got me was Jericho having 2 opportunities in a row to powerbomb Orange Cassidy into the Mimosa. And the first one, he takes 2 steps back and powerbombs him short. And then the other one, he picks him up for a powerbomb, does a complete 180. Instead of throwing him in the orange juice, he just throws him off the stage instead. And that's where I have a real problem is when you have a chance to win, why would you go out of your way to not win?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was watching with a buddy of mine who isn't really a wrestling fan, and I always hate when that happens because I always tell him how awesome this stuff is, and then
something
like,
goofy.
bro, come on, like you could just throw him in.
That was a couple weeks ago when I was skip ahead for a second here, but my wife came in the room and was watching it, and it was when Moxley was fighting the lawyer from MJF's little team there. And she went, "Is this like for real?" He's like, "Well," she goes, "Well, I know it's not like real, but like this is supposed to be professional." I go, "It's supposed to be goofy." She goes, "Oh, good, because it is." And she was over it, but because she don't give a damn either. But yeah, pretty funny. We got Eric.
Well, to piggyback on Jericho blowing the obvious chances to win, Cassidy just overacting the close calls, if you will, the obviously going out of his way to lean back almost in a Matrix style to dip his hair in the orange juice, or you could tell just looking at him, there was no chance, no danger of him falling into the orange juice, but he would just overact it to look like, oh no, I might lose. And it's just like, just clunky and dirty and just overacted would be the word.
The spot that I hated was when Jericho put him in the walls or the Boston Crab or the Lion Tamer or whatever we're calling it today. When they don't sit back on that move, it bugs me. When they're standing with their butt all high in the air and not touching the lower back of the wrestler that they're applying the move to, you're going, and especially when they're not climbing. Like if the guy on the bottom is doing the crawl to pull himself to the ropes, and then you could get your balances off, but like just grab him, crank it back in, and sit down again. Even if you got to do it 10 times, when they just stand there with their butt all high in the air, and Jericho was doing that, that was bugging me. Then he got that picture of Mimosa and weaseled around and threw it in Jericho's eyes. Meh. It was what it was. I didn't expect anything more than what I got, so I wasn't disappointed. Anybody got anything else to say? Orange Cassidy gets the W on Jericho in the Mimosa Mayhem match and
wins by submersion.
Mr. Play on Words. And then the final match, main event, singles match for the AEW Championship. I can't do that. And then taking on MJF with Wardlow for the AEW Championship, and the paradigm shift was banned from the match. With that being said, again, we come back to a common theme of the evening that we've been sitting here chatting about wrestling: predictability. They went and removed Moxley's finishing move, so what else could happen but him win and win by using it?
Right, because it was very clearly stated that Moxley was banned from using the paradigm shift, but if MJF wanted to use it, he could.
Right, and it set it up for Moxley to hold on to it. I thought the match was good. I love an MJF match. I do like Moxley. I was happy the match didn't get too crazy on the outside. And the referee that I hate, and it came to my mind, I looked it up earlier while we were talking, was Paul Turner.
Paul Turner. Yeah.
He's miserable. Sorry, it clicked in my head, and I had to get it out of my head. It sucks. But I hate when he goes outside the ring, because Paul Turner's famous for this with John Moxley matches, and they just are outside the ring for about an hour and a half, and he's still not to 10 yet. Nobody's gone in to break the count. I hate that stuff. You can go outside. You can be an outside guy. You can pull this and that if they're going to let you get away with stuff and bend the rules. But they'll just be outside for way too long. They kept that smart. MJF playing it like he wasn't going out there no matter what. I enjoyed that. No, I enjoyed this match. Eric, what did you think about it?
I got zero complaints on this match. I was really excited to see MJF wrestle. The commentators confirmed it. We haven't seen him wrestle in 45 days, which is way too long to keep MJF out of a wrestling ring, especially on AEW. He's easily one of their top 3 talents. They need to be using him to their advantage. But what I really enjoyed is it was MJF, the young guy of the crew. He's only got a couple years experience, 4 or 5 years experience, something like that. And he's the one who made Moxley up his game, keeping the match in the ring and actually showing what they can do. And when these guys stayed in the ring, they put on a hell of a match. MJF kept him at a good pace, not too fast, not too slow, and they put on a hell of a wrestling match. I thoroughly enjoyed this match.
Where you at, Michael?
I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here, and this was one of the best matches I have ever seen. No bullshit. I loved this so much, and I was kind of skeptical going into it because, you know, I'm a big Jon Moxley fan, but, you know, sometimes he's better using weapons and being hardcore than actually wrestling. But MJF, yeah, Eric, exactly. He really elevated Jon Moxley here. This was Jon Moxley's best performance in AEW so far, I think.
Fully agree.
Some of the falls, was it a little bit predictable where I thought Jon Moxley would probably win? Yes, but some of the near falls that MJF had where I was like, oh my God, like he's going to freaking win. He's going to beat Jon Moxley, become the AEW champion. I thought it was so good. And, you know, he had a pretty deep blade job, and MJF, look nuts. Moxley was biting his forehead with the blood coming out. I mean, this match was like everything I wanted, really.
I like the rift that they're planting between Wardlow and MJF with a bad ring toss, so he couldn't get his dynamite diamond ring, and you know that he uses, and the bad catch and the bad throw. So I like that. That was something different to throw into it. That the move that they go to all the time didn't work out, and I love MJF.
Nope.
But I like that it didn't work out finally. Eric, what do you got? Anything for finishing this match up? I mean, it was just, I liked it. I don't know. I'm up and down on if I thought MJF should have won or not. Like, obviously, change is always fun in a new champion, you know, that burst of energy. But as you stated earlier with who won the Battle Royal.
Right. With Lance Archer winning the Battle Royal, Moxley had to win this because I don't know. I don't think they're going to keep Lance Archer down. I really am wishful thinking here. I think they're going to really push Lance Archer now, and they wouldn't be able to push him with MJF as champion. So that put more predictability on it that Mox was going to win. I liked the way he finished the match. His move was banned, but lo and behold, he finds a way to get his move in, the paradigm shift behind the referee's back, and that's how he win. And he plays dumb, and he basically rubs it in MJF's face. Well, I don't know what paradigm shift. So again, I'm agreeing with Michael on this one. This is probably the best match I've ever seen out of Jon Moxley.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I say go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it, you know everything that happened, but this would be one to go back and watch. Anything else?
One last thing on this.
Yeah, go for it.
So I continue to mention how I do star ratings, and it's more of just like a hobby for me. You know, I don't take it too seriously. But this was my highest rated match that I've had since AEW premiere, and I gave this one a six stars, which is surprising because, you know, I usually give the high ratings to the high flyers, and I'm a big fan of like the Young Bucks. But this was awesome mat wrestling, and I really think that Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer, I'm going to post about it tomorrow. I think that he is going to have a very high rating for this match too, and I think that's something to look out for.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll check that out. Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating, very famous on how many stars he gives out to the guys. Some are a quarter star, and some are 5 3/4 stars.
And on the other end of the spectrum, I'm curious to see what Jim Cornette has to say about this match. He is a big mark for MJF. He loves
and hates
MJF.
Moxley.
Absolutely despises Moxley and his Stone Cold cosplay.
ECW bullshit.
Yes.
Mud
so
show.
I am curious to see what he has to say. I want to hear a compliment come out of his mouth for Jon Moxley. Well, he's complimented him before. He said he cuts a good promo, even though it has to be in the basement or the boiler room or behind a fence or in a junkyard. But he cuts a good promo. But I want to see, he always shits on Moxley's matches, and I want to hear a compliment come out of his Kentuckian mouth about Jon Moxley wrestling.
Well, overall, we've had the good, the bad, and the ugly on this pay-per-view. Eric, what did you think about it overall, pay-per-view, All Out 2020? Give it a yay or a nay.
Overall, I was giving it an average rating all the way through, but they really picked it up at the end. FTR helped bring that up, and then obviously MJF and John Moxley just skyrocketed this pay-per-view. So even though we did have the couple shit show matches in this one, that being the orange juice match and the dentist's office match, I would put it at
those though.
I would put it at a 4-star.
There you go. Michael, where you at overall, top to bottom, just the card as one thing? How you feeling on it?
I think we had 3 really, really, really solid matches that I would definitely go and rewatch. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I think that there were some hiccups, but in my honest opinion, I think that this top Double or Nothing 2020, I thought this was a great show. And, those 3 matches, especially the Moxley and MJF one, they really solidified the card for me as a really solid, entertaining pay-per-view. I think, that a lot of people online were giving this a lot of crap, saying this was the worst pay-per-view that AEW ever put on, blah, blah, blah. It's of my opinion that I think a lot of people went on Twitter, saw, the trolls saying that this was a bad show and kind of formed their own opinion before giving it a chance. I say give it a chance with an open mind. I feel like this was a really solid pay-per-view, and there are some real stars and some gems on this card.
Agreed. I would say go back and watch this pay-per-view if you have not watched it. It's a good one. You can go on and get it. They got replays all the time on the Bleacher Report there. So go on, hop on, download it, whatever it is, get it streaming, get your password, and watch it. It's a great pay-per-view. There were some hiccups, I think something maybe for me to go back and rewatch would be that Sheeta and Thunder Rosa match. Maybe it's something worth giving the energy back into. But overall, I say watch it. I enjoyed it. Time well spent, money well spent. And I think with that, we've been going here hot now for about an hour and a half. So we can do a quick rundown of Dynamite real quick. We don't want to take up too much time, and then we can call this thing an evening.
Right. We'll just touch base on the happenings in Dynamite. No need to really break down those matches.
So go ahead and lead us off, Eric. You got that in front of you there?
Yeah, first of all, we had Jurassic Express. That would be Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus going against the Lucha Bros, Ray Phoenix, and Penta L0M.
Yes.
And this was just a super athletic, high-energy match. And was there any real highlights that you would take from this match? I just thought it was athletic and fun.
This was a storytelling match. This was to get the point of the ending with them fighting with Penta hitting his finishing move on his brother, and then having them getting to their little pushing, shoving match, and then have Eddie Kingston settle it off again. So having him, whatever he's forming, we'll see what the end game is for Eddie Kingston. I have a feeling what we're seeing is not what the end of plan is going to be. But, Michael, how you feel on that match there, that tag match?
Solid match, and I like to agree. It was for storytelling, and I'm happy that Jurassic Express kind of got some redemption, got over a little bit from their loss at All Out. I think that if there ever were a trios championship, 6-man tag, it'd be Jurassic Express would be the first one. That's my prediction.
Including Marco Stunt?
Have to be. Who else are going to add?
Oof.
What was the next match, Eric?
Well, we had Matt Hardy addressing the fans.
We kind of touched on this earlier, but Matt coming out and giving his I'm going to go home and get healthy speech.
Right. And just, hats off to him for, coming out, and he could have just stayed at home and took it easy, but he wanted to come out and explain what happened to the fans who didn't catch the show and show his face, and, give it to him for that one.
Was anybody else expecting to see a run-in of some kind and make it pro wrestling?
No.
No, I didn't want it to happen. Believe me, I didn't want it to happen. And there was like 2 little moments where he didn't say anything, right? And then you're going, oh no, like I'm like, don't hit music, don't hit music, don't hit music, and nothing happened. And then it happened one more time. And then when he was leaving, I was like, oh God, it could happen here, and it didn't happen. And I was happy it didn't. But there was a couple spots where it scared me, and I thought it was going to turn into pro wrestling. So I didn't want that to happen. because this.
I felt that this was needed because we had his wife or Rebby kind of going off on the company, and that's a bad look. I think. I mean, what are the options here? We either make it work or Matt leave. So it was nice to see her and, kind of being there supporting her husband and his company, I think.
Yes. Agreed. That her being there, I think, helps take some of the stank off of her anger on Twitter.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then next we had Angelico with Jack Evans going up against Orange Cassidy, fresh off his victory over Chris Jericho. And this worked well to put Cassidy over even more and to kind of put him out on his own instead of him just, sucking off Jericho's star power.
Yes, and they separated from the best friends a little bit. So, except for the end, as then you had the run-in with Ortiz and the best friends. And they jumped them, and then the best friends come out and challenge them to a street fight, backyard parking lot brawl. And there you go.
Did you guys catch the significance of that, though?
Which part? I'm gonna say no then.
Street, the parking lot brawl.
Oh, because of the van, or where are we going?
Well, no. So actually, before Dynamite went off the air because of COVID-19, they had challenged the Lucha Brothers to a parking lot match, which never ever happened.
Right, I remember now. Yes, I forgot about that, but now I remember.
So we'll finally see it.
Yes, but we'll jump back real quick. We did have our Jake the Snake Roberts and the Murder Hawk outside in the alleyway in the rain giving their little promo. And did you see that part, Eric?
I must have missed this part.
It was a little wacky. Jake clearly shooting from the hip on his promo where they said, should we write anything down? And he went, no, you know what you're doing. And he made it, but nonetheless, that happened, and it was interesting. Go back and watch that. Then we get Alex Marvez backstage, Eric's favorite backstage correspondent, Alex Marvez, backstage trying to knock on the Young Bucks door to get a word with the Young Bucks. He knocks and knocks and knocks, opens the door to a double super kick to the chest, and then a door slam by the Young Bucks. And that was a wrap on the Young Bucks for Wednesday night.
Good. I hate Alex Marvez.
I knew you'd be excited about it. You're not always the biggest Young Bucks guy, but I knew Eric was like, if he's watching this, he's happy to see them catch a super kick.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about Young Bucks matches. I just can't get really into them because it just seems more focused on gymnastics, but I'm definitely going to like them more as bad guys.
Yes. And then they move on. Supposedly they find the Young Bucks, but what, $5,000 or something they said, and for kicking a non-athlete or something along those lines.
I think they'll be able to get out of that being executive VPs and all.
Yeah, they can write themselves a check.
Marvez said on Twitter, a simple no would have sufficed.
Yeah. They write a company check and then give it to themselves and then deposit it again and then call it. And then does that jump us to the Kip Sabian stuff here?
Yes, the Kip Sabian spot. Him and Penelope Ford, they are engaged, and they promised to reveal their best man on this show. And they kick Schiavone out of the ring and set up to reveal the best man. And lo and behold, who comes out? The artist formerly known as Rusev, Miro.
Miro, yes. They let it off with a big fat guy named Puff, who is evidently one of Twitch subscribers, and then Brian Pillman Jr. And then we get Miro coming out with his looking like Eminem with his bleached hair. And is it me, or are they going really hard on their Twitch plugs after Vince said no more Twitch streaming for my
Good point.
So they've been going really hard on that, with Vince hosting independent contractors. He seems to have a lot to say about how they handle their business. That's a whole nother bag of beans. What do you think about Miro coming out here and being involved in AEW now there, Michael?
Oh, I love it. I marked out for sure. I was watching with my girlfriend. I was recording this segment to put it on my story. I was like, started screaming. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea. Some of the surprise debuts, we've had some information about. I didn't hear anything online about this, really. And I heard that Miro is going on his YouTube channel and deleting comments saying you're going to be on Dynamite. I feel like he really wanted this to be a surprise, and it really was. I'm so happy that he's here. And the last thing I will say about it is I saw a lot of people giving Kip Sabian segment so much crap at All Out, saying how could this be on a pay-per-view, the best man reveal? But like, now no one's laughing. Crickets. I haven't heard anything. Well, it was brilliant, like the best man, and then it's Miro, the best man. I love this.
I thought it was good. He went hard. He kind of took his stab at WWE and said 10 years for this brass ring and shove it up your ass. And he was, he took his shot.
And this is good for Kip Sabian too. Rusev is still a huge star. And I completely forgot about him. I thought he was just doing his Twitch video game shit. And this was a huge surprise to me. And I think Kip Sabian's going to benefit off his star power a little bit.
Yes, I'm excited to see what happens. I know the haters are going to hate on it, and they'll be like, so everybody that gets fired from WWE just goes to All Elite. Well, you know what? Then Vince shouldn't have fired him, and then they wouldn't have came over there. So these guys,
they could just suck it, honestly. I hate that.
These guys need to eat and work too. So just because I don't know, what to tell you.
They don't own them.
Right. They did these backstage segments with Hangman. He was interviewed by Schiavone, and then they did a interview with Omega, interviewed by JR. So those were something that I didn't see where they went. They were a little boring for me. They didn't really go anywhere. But we'll skip over those and talk about this no disqualification. They gave it a no disqualification name, Eric. No disqualification. No count-out match with the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, and then taking on Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. I like that they gave it a no disqualification match. They called it what it was. That was one of my main gripes with AEW over the last couple of weeks is that if they would just call it a no disqualification match, it would be understood what the heck I was watching. But they'll go through these matches and they'll be outside of the ring. They'll be going through tables. They'll be backstage. They'll be wrestling through the bathroom, and then they come back in for a clean pin. And then the ref finally gets to 7. Paul Turner remembers what comes after 6, and he's there. So I like that this was that. Joey, always willing to get his body beat up, takes a flying table bump off the ramp, and there you go. It was what it was, and it was everything you expected out of it. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss kind of get the shit kicked out of them to bump up the tag team of the Inner Circle.
Yeah, the Inner Circle kind of needed this bump there. They've been they've been taking it hard past few weeks there, so they needed a little bump. I mean, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss aren't the highest people in the rankings to get a win over, but hey, at least it's something.
Yeah. You got any comments on it there, Michael? Just in general?
Joey took a cool table bump. That's pretty much it for me.
You saw the rest. I mean, the rest was the writing on the wall, right? I mean, Jericho got to win and continue on after. Now they're on the fight for the tag team championship. Keep it flowing here. I don't take up too much time for everybody listening. Once again, if you guys are on all those social media platforms, hit us up, the KayFabe Smark, Instagram, YouTube, all that fun stuff. Get in the Facebook group. MJF, he's at his headquarters. He yells at everybody. He fires everybody. He talks some shit to Wardlow about his bad ring toss. Wardlow gets a little puff chest up in his face, and then he says, "Don't forget, Ward Dog. Tony Khan doesn't sign your checks. I do." And then they moved on from that. So we'll see. Maybe they're driving a little stake between those two. That could turn out to be something fun to watch, something different. Those two could have a little back and forth. I don't know about necessarily calling it a feud, but a back and forth could be interesting. And turning somebody either double heel or turning somebody super super face. What do you guys think? Anything fun there?
No, I was just more excited about FTR.
Yeah, well, that's what leads us up next. FTR coming out and talking shit about being the tag team champions.
Oh, yes. Celebrating right in the center of the ring with their boy Tully. And they just really shit on the tag team division, including the Gun Club and Jurassic Express. And we get to see Jurassic Express versus FTR in a non-title match next week. And I'm kind of excited to see what comes out of that because Jungle Boy is already a hell of a worker. And Luchasaurus, I think he has potential, and I think FTR can bring it out of him. I think this is going to be one of the best Luchasaurus Jungle Boy matches that they've ever put on.
You got anything on that, Michael?
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant that they basically said Jurassic Express isn't even good enough to put the titles on the line. I mean, they really drove home the heel nature of their tag team. Came up all suited up. They looked like total dickheads. I loved it.
Yeah, it did have that Four Horsemen old school feel.
Yeah,
they know how to get the heat.
Get the heat,
definitely.
And then all those, then everybody stole their cake. Everybody said we're hungry. We haven't ate. Where we at here? Taz comes out. Darby Allin's music hits, and it's Ricky Starks dressed up like Darby Allin again, and cuts a promo on him. It was cool the first time. I don't know where we're at the second time. They've done it once. They've done it twice. They threw him out of the ring on Saturday. I don't know. I thought they could have been a little more creative. I didn't really care too much about that position on that. Anybody have anything to say, or are we just going to roll right past that? It just happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nah. That's about where I was at as well. All right. Native Beast, Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero taking on Ty Conti. Is that how you say it? Ty?
I think, yeah. Tainara is her name. This hit 1.25 million viewers, which is crazy. And I read that Tay was on NXT. I wasn't aware of this. And her first match there drew in 1 million viewers. So first match on Dynamite drew it. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah,
congrats to them.
Anybody got any words to say on this? Again, you saw the size difference of the match and not really knowing where they're at with Nyla and not knowing much about this Tay. You could see that this was going to be a Nyla Rose show-off match and squash.
Right. Nyla Rose kind of needs some momentum if she's going to be, one of the top girls in AEW. And this was a good chance for her to, show her strength, show that she's the beast, and get a little bit of momentum behind her.
I think the pairing with Vicky Guerrero is a good thing because Vicky can yak on the mic. She's loud. She's annoying. She has a sound about her. So I think that can help her because I don't know much about what I've seen Nyla Rose get on the mic. It's been
Stay off.
She lick her hand the one time and slap? I don't know. It was weird.
Oh man.
They get into the October 14th, the anniversary show. Talk about Jon Moxley defending against the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer. And then your main event was Brody Lee and Dustin Rhodes for that TNT championship. What do you got for this, Eric? You got any notes on this? You got any comments, concerns, questions?
I was just kind of tuned out at this point. I just kind of sat back and watched the match. I didn't think there was any way in hell Dustin Rhodes was going to win. I think he's just playing his role. He's out there. He's a legitimate star, but I don't think he's going to go out there and take the spotlight off of anybody, especially Brody Lee just winning that TNT championship recently.
And the way that he won it. Michael, what do you think about this? Did you see it going any other way than the way it went?
Not really. I saw some predictions online that maybe Dustin could win. I'm a big Brody Lee guy. He's one of my favorites. I'm so happy that he won. But Dustin was my original pick for the TNT Championship. I remember filling out a bracket. I thought maybe this guy's been in the industry for 32 years. I thought maybe they would strap a piece of gold on him just to kind of say thank you for all the stuff that you've been doing. But I didn't see him winning. But really, really solid match. Match of the night for me for sure. I mean, good storytelling, good wrestling. Dustin's excellent. And I just thought it came together well.
Right. The only thing that I have kind of going against it is how he took it from Cody, the complete and utter domination that he had in the match. And then when he can go in and then he has, he goes 10, 12, 15 minutes with Dustin. I think it should have been a little more brutalizing to keep that momentum going until the person that can take it from him can take it. But if he brutalizes one and he has a decent match with the other. But I thought it could have been a little more brutalizing to keep up that momentum of the anger inside that Brody Lee match. But he retains the title and keeps rolling forward. Anybody got anything else to say on some professional wrestling before we wrap this boy up?
Where do you think Colt Cabana's story is going to head from here? Brody Lee banished him from the ring during this one. So do you think they're really going to get into a Colt Cabana Brody Lee feud?
I mean, I guess anything's possible at this point. But yeah,
I don't know. I want to see something big for Colt, I guess is my point where I'm going on this.
I think you're either going to have to see him go against Brody Lee or like 100% officially change his gimmick and join the Dark Order, right? And be like, and get a number and like but that would be completely weird and I think out of place. But Michael, where do you think they're going with this?
You know what? Now that you said it, I could see him turning on Brody and having something at Full Gear or the anniversary show.
Yeah, I think that's probably something they're going to do. I don't know if he'll get a title, but I think he'll at least get a couple shots at it, maybe. Where you at, Eric?
Yeah.
That's just where I hope it's going. I think a great opponent with some size, some strength, some experience is Colt Cabana. I've been a big fan of him since seeing him in JCW as the stupid heel cop.
The officer.
Yeah. I just thought he was I like me some Colt Cabana, and I'd love to see, two big guys go at it. Brody and Dustin, they're kind of two big guys. I get tired of the 5'6", 130-pound guys going, constantly going. I want to see some big guys sometimes.
There you go. Well, let's take it around the horn here. Michael, put your plugs in, get your Instagram, whatever else you got out there on social media, and we'll go around here and call this one a wrap.
Well, thank you for inviting me on the show. I really had a great time. My Instagram is at AWNews1_. Same for Twitter. Getting a pretty good following from there. I cover everything from AW and pretty much every New Japan show. So if you're interested in that, head over there and, send me a DM, follow me. Appreciate it.
There you go. Eric, where we follow you at?
All right. I am on Instagram at it's Eric. That's all one word. Or if you heard my dog snorting and huffing and puffing earlier, her name is Stella, and Stella and I are on TikTok, and you can watch dumb videos of us, nothing wrestling related, but our name on TikTok is stella.hates.eric. And for our KayFabe Smark plugs, I will shoot it over to you, Brian.
KayFabe Smark on YouTube. Go over there, like, subscribe, and get into that. Hit the notifications. We're trying to get better, people. Bear with us. This is a couple man, a 1 to 2 man operation at best. So we're doing the best we can. Give us some reviews and subscribe on all podcast platforms. Those always help us out. Get over on Facebook, like us over there, Instagram, and that's about it these days. And then get into our Facebook group, trying to build the group up, get people just talking about wrestling. So on Facebook, get in the KayFabe Smark group. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, and all that. We have not dove down the Twitter scene yet. We're trying to get the other things rolling first, and then hit that notification bell on YouTube. And I think that's going to take us out of here. So once again, follow Michael there at AEW News 1_, and he'll be back on the show for sure, 100% again, because it was fun chatting with him. I know he's not all in on the WWE stuff these days, but maybe we can lead him down there and come in and get his take on some of those. We'll get him to watch a takeover and come in and commentate on that.
And it's fun to go head to head with a hater like me who likes to shit on AEW a couple times a week, to go straight up against a AEW all in type of guy.
Yeah, so it was fun, man. We'll have you back again.
Thank you.
Until next time, this has been the KayFabe Smark podcast. We will check you guys out next week. We'll be back. We'll talk some more wrestling, talking shit.